And here we go, back again with the Business Not As Usual podcast. I am Vince, and with me today is Mike. As always, Mike, how are you?
I'm great. I got the giggles
Oh,
because off camera before we went live, there was a lot of hijinks going on. So I'll turn it back. So I might have the giggles for this entire podcast. So I'm gonna turn it over back to you.
right.
Be more professional.
Yeah, I am going to be more professional because I'm a little bit more comfortable with our special guest today. Because for those that are listening, you may have heard Mike's giggles, but then there were some other
What kind
giggles.
of giggle is that?
Your giggle is, but then there was a much more lithe giggle, that of our special guest today, Danelkis Serra. Danelkis, welcome to Business Not As Usual.
Thank you very much. I love that it's not as usual because I fit right in.
Yes, and Danelkis, you are yes. I'm not even going to argue that point. You are a frequent guest on my other venture, Analyst After Work. So this is your first time on Business Not As Usual, and I just want to tell the story of how this came to be, because it's sort of a two-pronged reason for you being here.
And Vince, right before you do that, if you don't mind.
No, fine. It's not my show or anything.
No, not at all.
Yes.
So the reason why Mike and I have giggles, because we have transparent, I'm good with that, is because it's a podcast. And
right.
I wasn't expecting to get this recorded.
Right.
So as we were doing tech check, I was also trying to comb my hair and look halfway decent.
Right.
But I did love to giggle, and it is what it is. So thank you for having me here today.
And I appreciate you being on the show. And so the first reason that you are here today is you were actually many episodes ago, we ran a contest of who could draw more listeners. So we used the hashtag Mike sent me, or the hashtag Vince sent me, which blew the Mike sent me hashtag away, and we drew one lucky submitter, and that was you. And the prize, for some reason, because we had nothing to offer, was you got to be.
We have no budget.
We had no budget. Was you got to be a guest on the show. But
back then.
Yeah.
All due respect, I had no idea who Mike was because we hadn't met back then. But since then, we've listened in on each other's episodes and have chatted along the way. So
that's sweet. I didn't know that. Maybe we should talk about that instead. No, we don't need to talk about that. But the other reason that I wanted to have you on, you are, much like me, you are a very strategic enterprise analyst. You have been for 20 plus years, which is made even more impressive by the fact that you're only 29, and you and I sort of engaged in a discussion earlier this year via LinkedIn, and I want to revisit that because we actually came in on different sides of an argument, which is unusual, because I think we get along and we agree on a lot of things, but it was unusual. And so it struck me. So I thought today what we would talk about is, what is the future of business design, business analysis in 2021, but beyond. And I know that you have a very strategic view. So we're going to look at this from a strategic perspective. But what are your thoughts on where business analysis, business design, business transformation is going in the foreseeable future?
Thank you. To take it back to that initial conversation where we had, for me, it's always been, with this whole COVID phase that we were going in, and a lot of people were put in the back seat, a lot of positions were becoming eliminated or in the shadows as organizations are reshuffling their budgets and seeing where they cut back or not cut back. And I said, this is our moment to shine. This is our moment as business analysts to say, I am here. I have the knowledge and the mindset to think differently, and you need me. And I think for many years, we kind of let things happen for us and don't take the reins. And for me personally, I see it where, COVID has all its negatives from a health perspective. But from a career perspective, this is our moment to shine and take advantage of the situation and have that leadership role that we should have always had, that everybody should have seen for years to come, and embrace it and have that courage to step out of a comfort zone if it's not something that we're familiar with, and lay out the vision for the corporations that we're currently at or want to be a part of.
Right.
I know. Go ahead.
No, go. Please continue.
And say I've had friends reach out from. I've had the I guess a positive where I've had many different backgrounds of companies that I've worked for. I started off in the cruise industry for most of my career and did a little bit of fintech and software. But I grew up in the cruise line industry, and a lot of the circle of friends are still work there, and they were either furloughed or sitting back. I mean, cruises are not going to sail anytime soon.
Right.
And a lot of them are looking for that shift of, career change, or, hey, you used to do what I do. Can I do what you do now? And those are kind of like the conversations we're having of take the reins and make it happen.
Right.
Because again, it's that whole strategic mindset of find the situation and make it better,
Right.
like pinpoint something and seek the value and then communicate it.
Right. I want to come back to that in a second, but I don't know if you noticed when you mentioned cruise line industry, Mike's eyes perked up. So if you're listening to this in a podcast, go and check the video because Mike is Mr. Cruise Line. Like whatever the top status is, he's got it. This man goes on like 7 cruises a year.
Now I have a key question.
I love cruising.
Uh-oh.
What cruise line?
Oh, see, this is going to cause problems because this is like East Coast, West Coast rap. If I say I'm going to get so Royal Caribbean is my cruise line.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, good. See, Vince, I told you
Okay.
it's going to be East Coast,
Just
West
okay though.
Yeah.
But we do have to talk.
Just okay.
Right. So I want to. So now that we've covered that and Mike's love of cruising,
Yes.
every month.
I have 2 booked for later this year, so hopefully that'll happen. But it's okay.
Oh, we totally need to talk.
So
I got questions too, but go ahead.
okay. No, so I just want to, and this is where I actually disagree. So I agree with you, and yet I disagree with you. No, I agree with you, and I disagree with you. I think you're right. I think it is time for the business analyst to step out of the shadow, because as I've argued here and elsewhere, I think BAs have been fed this idea of leading without authority, and I think it's BS. I think it's a lie, because you can influence without authority, but I don't believe you can actually lead without authority, especially in many modern organizations that are very hierarchical. And I'm not saying this is, I don't want to overgeneralize, but I think you do need to have that position of leadership to be a leader. Now, not just because you have the position doesn't mean you're a leader. So, as you can tell, I have a lot of debates with myself.
So
I was going to have to disagree with you on that one, but continue.
But hold on. This is good. Like, I want to have this discussion. This is why I wanted to have this discussion. I agree that it is time, but I think in order for what you're describing to actually happen, you need to have a cultural change within the organization to recognize the value that because it's one thing to say, "Hey, I'm here. I want to help. Let me help," and it's another for the organization to support that and enable that and allow that to thrive and grow.
I have a lot to unpack there, Vince.
Please.
Right?
You're also a co-host, so you get to talk presumably
I get to
equally
talk.
as much.
So a couple things. So can you lead from anywhere? Yes. But I think, and the conversations we've had is you get, and we've talked about BAs, but BAs get trapped in you could lead from anywhere and then don't take the next step.
Right.
So you can lead from anywhere and you could have ideas, but that shouldn't trap you in that position. So that's the first one. The second one is there's lots of people that say you should listen to me, like UX designers and all these different, and I think it's
damn service designers.
Service designers, and I'll be super blunt. No one cares. Like if anybody's looked at my Instagram, no one cares. Work harder. And so my advice to everyone, and it's like BA, like it's our time to lead. Service designers say it's their time to lead. It's everyone's time to lead. No one cares. And so, and this is the question I want to ask. Practically, what does it mean to it's our time? Because I do believe there's a skill set there, but there's what is the thing that you put in front of a leader to say, here's what we should do. Give me, like, let me try a small, and Vince, we've talked about, let me try something small to show you the value of it. Because just saying it's art, and Vince, just saying that, no one's going to give it to you because everyone else is vying for. I think there's like, what's that practical roadmap for BAs to do that?
And Mike, you bring up a great point. Oh, go ahead. You weren't done.
No, I'm done.
Oh, you were? Okay. The reason why I was saying this is our time more than ever is because we're living in a year of change. Most of it not by choice. COVID has forced us to change things that organizations didn't plan on changing. I mean, even just starting with working from home. For years and years, a lot of the companies were like, no, we can't do that. We need you physically in the office for whatever, in my opinion, stupid reason they had.
Yes.
But we were forced into that direction. And now the cruise industry, they are forced to change things, find alternatives. Cruising will never be exactly what it was. It could be better.
Okay, that's good then.
For those of you not watching, there was a big sad face. But it's that moment of major changes need to occur. And your everyday person might just get caught up in the stress of now what? Where from a BA mindset, change is what we do, change is what we've always done. Seeking value should be the foundation of what we do. So it's taking that step back and saying, okay, now we're working from home. Now where do we start? Like, oh, there's Zoom calls. And I'm talking little things, but like even like, again, the cruise line industry, it's getting the hand sanitizers, getting the, the security getting on and off the ship. There's big ticket items that have to change to move forward. And it's having, like Mike, you were saying, having those examples, not just talk about it. Don't, like, oh, we need to change. No, but what specifically, what value do we need to seek to move forward to get us to the next level? And then once you know what it is, play it out, like draw the whole thing out, do a roadmap, do the customer journey map and literally lay it out in black and white, and then have that courage to empower yourself and take it up to the C-level management. Not just that person that's going to, stop you, road stop you because you don't have the right title or you're not at the right level. There's a lot of empowerment that needs to go into what I was just saying. And just, I think, learning to embrace that we have always brought forth change, and usually, hopefully, in a positive manner. And it's showcasing it to everybody else. I've worked at organizations prior to all this stuff that I was flat out told, senior management doesn't believe in BAs. We don't have any BAs on the team. And there was a product team that the director and I used to work at a previous organization, and he brought me onto the team, and I'm like, I've never been a product owner. And he's like, it's a title. come in and do what you've always done. And it was flat out told to me, they do not believe in BAs. They think it's a waste of money. And I went, all right. So I came in, I was on 2 projects, 9-month projects. All I did was what I've always done as a BA. And at the end of the project, we turned around and said, hey, by the way, all that was BA work. And eventually the team started hiring BAs. Like executives embraced the idea and they started hiring BAs. But they needed to get that wake-up call. And Mike, to your point, they needed proof that it worked. They needed to see it, not just hear it. Vince looks like he's like
I'm pensive.
He does like that the Bay like contemplation pose.
It's
I'm scared what's coming next.
No, I'm actually really upset right now because I came into this prepared for battle.
He had a whole hypothesis that was just debunked.
And like I actually cannot argue that comment. I think if I had to though, what
Can
I
you
would
repeat that?
never ever again. And this part will be edited out of all
oh no,
public
Mike won't
instances.
let that happen.
But I so I disagree, but I think this is where I really wanted to have this discussion with you. One, you're a nice person. I like, I find that I learn a lot from you. But it's a, you know, you lay out such a compelling vision. I think maybe it's just a cynical perspective that it can't happen. At least it can't happen this year. Because I think that was sort of part of that. But we also had an exchange through LinkedIn, which were a couple comments. We're actually having a discussion now, and I think this is where we actually get to flesh out the idea further. And so I'm gonna have to find something else to disagree with you on, or this is gonna be a really short episode.
Challenge is on.
So I mean, so we, you know, as has been well documented in this show and many other places, I am a big advocate for the BA mindset, and you and I in particular have talked about there's even then that next level from the BA mindset to the enterprise mindset and that very strategic perspective. I think project BAs have that opportunity, but I don't know that they are going to take that step up. But I think what we need to see are more BAs that do have that strategic mindset taking that next step. And I think that I would agree with you on. I worry about the timelines. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but I think that COVID and the fact that we're all in the situation that we're in will serve as the catalyst for, you know, I don't want to say like a chief business analyst, but that type of very senior strategic role who is, you know, not charged with leading, you know, an operational team, not charged with managing the finances or the technology, but they are responsible for overseeing the puzzle and how it fits together, which, if you really think about it, chief business analyst, and this is a leap now, chief business analyst really should be CEO. And that, I think, because that, if you think about it, that's what a CEO,
kind of a cool title.
It's a great title, but I think that's what a CEO really should be, right? Is that person who manages the pieces of the organization to be successful. And so the CEO, the capo di tutti capi.
I understand.
Yeah. I think if you can get CEOs,
I think there's a role there. I don't think that's the only role.
There is. No, I'm saying.
So part of the role has to have the mindset.
Exactly. And I think if you've got a CEO with that BA mindset, and that's what it is. It's not to say you've been a business analyst and but it's just that mindset and that way of thinking. If you've got somebody in that role, that I think is where the the strategic opportunity lies for the future of the profession?
I want to take it back to a comment you made with the
Uh-oh, I think I'm in trouble now.
No, not at all. The the day-to-day BA versus the enterprise BA and the 1 year timeline. I think, or actually, I've seen two people that I personally know that would normally be a quieter, more introverted BA that kind of sticks to their projects.
Yeah.
Because of the situation that COVID put them in, and they really saw their foot out the door. With a little bit of coaching from somebody that tends to come out of her comfort zone, they took the reins and they planted the seeds and took it up to senior management, and they were able to stay on the team. And the changes haven't been seen all the way through yet, but the seeds were planted and the wake-up call was done to executives.
Okay.
And I think having that dire situation gave them that courage or power, like help them empower themselves to take that leap of faith.
Right. And I think that's important, that point of empowering themselves.
Yes. That was my point about no one's going to ask you to put together something that, hey, can you put this together so you can show how smart, like how much value you bring? You got to do it no one is going to do that. You have to put together whatever problem that you want to solve and then bring it forward. Like that's what needs to be done. And that, I mean, it's not exclusive to BAs. It's for any role. And I want to go back to the product manager. When you said it was BA work, and this is the misnomer of the product manager. I'm not going to generalize. So I was at a company that said they had product managers, which they brought in for their digital expertise. And then when they brought them in, it wasn't going well. So they had to partner them with this other role called the connector. And the connector was the person that knew how to navigate the business and knew who the digital person had to talk to in the business to do work. The point of my story is, like, when you said, oh, by the way, that's BA work, and I think every product manager is going to lose their mind. That is the role of a product manager. You need to know about digital, which you could read about, but it's really, what is the business problem you're trying to solve for that, and then build the digital product. It's not and there's plenty of people that know about API. You need to know about those things, but the skill that I look for is the business and how do you solve a business problem, as opposed to, you need to know the digital part, which you can skill up on, but that's not where you start. You start with the business. So when you said, oh, by the way, the point is there shouldn't be a difference. There's a new role that we call that because that's what these digital labs and stuff call them, but it is business work. So that's the first point. My second point, I think, and this is just my observation of the BA world, to move up to the next level, there has to be this letting go of the super detail and being very literal. You have to be able to deal with ambiguity to sell that vision and have other people get it. So you need, be based in it. But I think the thing that kind of blocks is this very detailed, which you have to be, but you need to pull yourself out of that to get to the next level and be able to present these ideas.
Agreed. And these are conversations that Vince and I have actually had at different points and in different flavors of it, where that's my favorite part of it was that whole enterprise strategic BA, which for me, it's more of that senior level. It's you have to start in the weeds. You have to start you don't have to, but you grow into it. You start in the weeds, you start in the details. And as you gain experience and confidence, mainly with communicate, being able to communicate and see the bigger picture. My favorite part was being an enterprise analyst. Once I was able to take that leap and work with the executives and see the big picture and piece together all of the projects, I don't care to be the typical.
There's no going back.
There isn't.
There's no going, like,
can't go home again.
Once you take the red pill, like,
there's no
can't
going back.
untake it. You can't go back. And I've said the same thing, right? And so at this I agree. I think, and this is where I do want to draw that distinction between, the project BA and the EA, the enterprise analyst. And you need both, right? You need someone, if you're on a project and you're developing a product or you're developing a service or a process and you're eliciting requirements, you need to be detailed. You need specificity.
Absolutely.
You can't, ambiguity is your enemy.
And
in
leaders
that
are looking
situation.
for that. I
Right.
need that as a leader,
Correct.
to be clear.
Correct.
But
But as you move into that enterprise, that strategic role,
Mhm.
and I agree with you, Mike, and I know we've had this conversation offline. Like, you do need to let go of that possession, which is I need to know everything. I need to have
Right.
like clear
And that's the difficult part.
requirements. And it's incredibly difficult. And I think that's why you see so few people make that move. And I think even when I was a business analyst, I was a strategic analyst, but I was forced to get into the detail. And I hated it. I love
And that's when you do your 16-hour days because you're doing both parts of it.
Right. So I'm having way much more agreement with the two of you than I expected in this episode, and I'm both happy and it's bittersweet because
It's bittersweet.
it's bittersweet.
I was ready for a rumble.
I was ready for a fight, a Friday afternoon fight, and it's gone poof. So what comes next then? Do you, Danelkis, what do you see as next? So we've got our BAs. We've acknowledged that there's a need to let go for BAs to move into a more strategic realm. What are some of the challenges that you see with that happening? And then what comes next from someone who has done that work? What can someone who is a BA moving into a strategic role expect as far as pain, as far as, positivity? Like, what can they expect?
Well, personally for me, the hardest part doing that transition, was letting go, not being in the weeds, which was very freeing once you get past that stage.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a big hit to your ego. It's that you start questioning yourself because here you are trying to, communicate to executives or prove a point to those that you don't usually have their ear. And you get turned down a lot. You get a lot of meetings canceled, or no, I don't have time for you, or you're absolutely crazy.
I don't know anything about that.
Like, who do you think you are, and where did you get that from? It was hard. It was very difficult. And the companies I worked for tended to be, I had that extra female. There was more men in IT. So when you turn around and here's this little 5'1" schmuck of a female, coming up with all these ideas, and it was like, you don't know what you're talking about. So having to continue to have that courage to have the conversations, even though you kept hearing no, that was the most difficult part. And having to switch companies sometimes, and just know when it's a lost battle, because I like to battle sometimes, and I like to prove a point, and to me, I'm a helper. I want, I see it clearly, and I get frustrated that the other person has no clue what I'm saying, and I don't know how else to deliver it. So I'll do I'll write things up. I'll do bullet points. I'll do paragraphs. I'll do, diagrams. I'll try 50 different ways of skinning the cat. And then they still don't want the pet.
Peeling a potato.
Peeling the
I've been told not to use that phrase.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
There's more than one way to peel a potato.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're a family friendly show.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people just don't even like potatoes.
Yeah. All right, fine.
So I have a question about, so it when you're doing, like, this is work that's over and above your day job. Okay. Yep. So you see an idea, you try and sell the idea, you get no's. You probably had more no's than other people because of your position in IT, but you get no's all the time. And then either people get frustrated and then go, see, it'll never work. But to be honest, that's the only route. But do you think the lead from anywhere is like a defense mechanism to say, we can lead from anywhere because it's so hard to do this other thing? And again, as growing up in UX, I had the same road. It's like, how do you get someone to give you a chance on something, then prove that it works, then move to the next thing? Because that's how you navigate large corporations. So do you think that is a defense mechanism?
For me, it was building relationships. It was, if I knew I couldn't get the ears that I needed to listen, was having the one-on-ones, going down the hallway and sitting at a developer's desk and saying, hey, can I run an idea by you? And not coming in strong at first, just literally saying, hey, I have an idea. What do you think? Yep. And getting their buy-in, getting feedback and buy-in. So this is going to probably sound shady the way I'm going to say it, but it is what it is. It's having the conversation so the other person feels that it was their idea.
Absolutely. and having those like backdoor coffees, and you're going to find someone that goes, oh, that's a good idea. And then there's there's a champion, then there's two. And when you have enough of those and you're in a room, the idea is already sold. And so it's not an idea that's foreign to anyone. And then you have other people going, like, saying it on your behalf. So it's not, you're just the only one trying to sell it. It becomes like a swell, but it's a team. That's it's a lot of work, but
I could
it's work
say
that if you want to lead, that's the work you need to put in.
And I could say one of the key things that's helped me get to where I've gone and where I am is not wanting the credit. It's not about, oh, look at my idea or look what I could do. It's, hey, let's find a better solution and let's do this together. I have a very good friend that is extremely smart, but he tends to need the credit. And we actually did it. We worked at the same company at one point, and he had a great idea, and he tried to sell it, and it didn't work. And he got I'm very good friends with him. He got so frustrated that he turned around and he gave it to me, and he said, can you try to run with this? And I honestly said the same exact things that he said. But I had that buy-in along the way. I had those one-on-one conversations of, hey, what do you think? And the idea took off, and we were able to implement a huge project because of that idea. But it was all in the delivery. It was all in the conversations. He wanted to make sure that everybody knew that it was his idea.
Right.
And that doesn't work. It has to be a team effort. At the end of the day, a BA doesn't deliver anything as a tangible product. It's a team effort, and you need every single part of it to make it work. And egos can't get in the way. It just won't work.
I am speechless. Until you said you worked together, I thought maybe you were talking about me, because the
Vince was pointing pointing at himself.
You're right, and it actually has taken me a really long time to arrive at what you just described. And it's nice to hear man, I was so ready to fight, and like now I'm
Yes.
so
Totally
upset.
straight up.
It's
You've
so
totally
nice to
sprayed
hear
it.
that the path that I have walked for the last, I will say 3-ish years is exactly what you just described. Not fighting for credit, doing the right thing because it's the right thing,
Yep.
building. I tell, within my team, I see myself more as a coach than a. So I'm there to help them look good and
Right.
not for me to look good. And so it's bringing a little bit of validation and to me, Danelkis, I think that maybe is a great place for us to close today. You did say something there that, ironically enough, I flipped to Mike last night about a future episode, which is about that, that like letting failure happen and knowing when you need to walk away. Because I think that is an important piece of it. So if I didn't send it to him, it would have felt phony, but I actually did, and
Then he would have faked it. I would have been like,
I would have faked, but I actually did because I think it is, and this is something that I've been trying to communicate: is you have to know what you can control and what you can influence, but then also know what you can't and what you need to let, essentially what you need to let fail. And that sounds terrible, but you sometimes need to. Because it needs to happen, right? So
there's only so many things that are in your control, and
Correct.
to worry about the uncontrollable doesn't help you.
Yeah.
It just brings stress to you. So you need to control those things and let the other things play out.
Yeah, but let's hold that one, because I think that's a whole other episode
for sure. That's a whole other
so you heard it here first. We will have a future episode, but I want to thank you, Danelkis, for joining us today on Business Not As Usual. We want to hear from, not just from the business analysts or the business designers or the enterprise analysts, but we want to hear from you. What do you think the future of the industry and of transformation is? You can hit us up at vincentmirabelli.com or michaelmartino.ca. But Danelkis, again, thank you. And on behalf of the rest of us hosts, this has been the Business Not As Usual podcast. We will catch you in the next one.
See ya.
Thank you.